Well, hey, beauties, we're back. It's another Wednesday, and this is Talk and Tap, my little tapinar that I'm striving to put out for you every week. Here's the thing, it seems like a lot of people would prefer to tap along on their own time with the replay. So they can watch and listen, or stick it in their earbuds and do it that way, which I find actually an amazing way to nourish ourselves with tapping and to kind of get into that habit. And so I thought I'm going to keep doing this invitation to everyone to come here live for at least this month. We'll go for a few more weeks and see. And then if it turns out that that's the best way, I will just go ahead and record like I am doing now, except not on Zoom. I'll do a recording and pop it into YouTube, and that's where it will live. We'll always have that link. You can go there every week and you can subscribe. You can get the notifications, all of that. I've never done YouTube Live, so I'm not sure if that might be a thing, but it seems that most of my mentors nearly all the time do that. They just do the recordings and pop them in there. So let's see how it goes. You never know, people might start. So if someone pops in today, we'll just stop for a moment to let them in and keep going. So I thought today that I would talk about tapping in the moment. It's actually, I think it's my most used, my most favorite for myself, and I love to teach people how to do this and remind you that you can do this. Because as I've said before, tapping can be done by anyone, anywhere, at any time. So now, if you are not familiar with tapping or you need a refresher, on my website, sandyevenson.com, there's a free download of my video taptorials. Very brief to show you what it is and explain that, what is tapping, and then how to tap, a graphic on the tapping points. So I'm showing you and have the PDF as well. And then tapping for stress and anxiety, which is the biggest thing. Most of us just get into some kind of stress at some point. And this is the demo on how to go ahead and do that. So it can be done in any way, in so many forms. You're just as I like to make sure that you remember, it's just voicing what's in your head. And we get this little voice. And if you just said, what voice? That's the one. So we do, we talk to ourselves. Sometimes I feel there's a whole committee in my mind that goes back and forth. I was just thinking about Mother's Day and writing my newsletter. And I thought about that idea as kids. We were told about the devil on one shoulder and the angel on other, where like, yeah, go ahead and do that. It's okay. No, my God, no, you'll get in trouble. So that's what happens in your head. And most of the time in these days, we just start sort of ruminating about something in the past, whether it just happened yesterday or way back in the past, or we start to worry about the future. What if? Oh my God, this is happening, that's happening. So I want you to know that tapping in the moment is so great, because if you get these thoughts in your head and you just notice that, stop and take a breath and start tapping. And it's so simple. I often gravitate to one point. You can do all the points if you have the space and time. But most of us, we're still moving, doing other things. I have literally come up our stairs with a load of laundry while tapping on my collarbone at the same time. Oh my gosh, what's going on with me? So first of all, you're going to notice that you have thoughts, repetitive thoughts, negative patterns of emotions going on in your mind. Or you may even not have that specific thing. It's just like things feel weird. I feel different today. It's like the air is off, and you can just start tapping on that. But I was looking at the range of emotions that we can have. And if you think about it as you're watching or listening to this, think about these range of emotions from anger to feeling lonely to guilt to not feeling good enough, just not enough of anything, and to blame on others, like, oh my God, what they're doing, what he's doing, what they said. Or there's sadness. You might, this week, if you're in the US, when we honor our mothers, I don't know, is that international now? Might be different days, but we honor mothers, grandmoms, and bonus moms who married into a family with children. And sometimes we get very sad because our mom's not with us anymore. Or we might get sad because we missed out on a childhood we could have had because of the lack of caring that we, might have grown up with. Um, there's that critical voice, and this is the one that's in our head most of the time, that inner critic who really finds fault or say, wait, you need to do that better. It just keeps coming in. You'll hear it say, why did you say that? Why didn't you do this? Right? I should have, I could have. And then there's fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of disappointment, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of not being able to do things. And actually, when we learn from A Course in Miracles, that everything boils down to two things. There is only love and fear. All of our negative emotions come down to some kind of fear. And that was born way back when we were little, sometimes even in the womb, because we sensed our mother's tension. So there can be a real range of what's happening with us. Just know that that's there. So I want you to understand that tapping in the moment, you just give yourself permission to, like, oh my gosh, what's going on with me? And it doesn't have to be anything succinct and take certain steps and all these different words as people worry about. Just express what's in your mind. So I'm going to just demonstrate that a little bit. The one emotion that came up with me when I was having my most, I call it frustrating times, because frustration was there. And I'm going to just vocalize what that felt like, and you'll hear other words come through. I'd like you to tap along with me and say what's in your head. So you might, instead of saying frustration, you might say this anger, this disappointment, or I'm so angry and I'm so mad at so and so, or this situation is really driving me nuts. Whatever you want to put in there, well, I'm just not good enough. I've tried, and I can't seem to get anywhere. What's wrong with me, right? So all of those. And I'm using frustration because just as I was thinking through my past, I learned all of these tools after uh, my world felt like it was falling down around me. I'd spent years and years and years in a relationship with someone I loved so deeply, who I know loved me, but he had tons of demons on his own. He was going through his own nightmare and really uh, suffering from PTSD, not being treated for that. I didn't understand most of it until it was quite late. And so anyway, there was a lot of turmoil, and suddenly it really got worse. And so there I was in the middle of being a caregiver now for a man with alcoholic dementia, from, trying to treat himself, self-medication with drugs and alcohol, and then also heart disease. And thank God I was still working full time as a hairstylist in the salon and a colorist. And I had that environment to keep me sane, or to keep me being able to pay for caregivers and things like that. But it didn't take away the frustration that was happening, in the evenings and on weekends when I was taking care of him, and the fear and the worry that came with it. So just tap along with me. And I'm going to start at the eyebrow and work around. And again, please refer to those videos and the tapping points if you need them. So just tap, take a breath, sink into your body, try to come out of your busy mind for a moment And as you think about the last 7 days, you can identify the main primary emotion that's been coming up for you, and you can use that word substitute as you will. Okay. I feel so frustrated. This is really maddening, and I don't know what to do. I don't feel like I'm doing enough. What if I'm not doing enough? What's going to happen next? Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know how to get through this. I don't think I can take it anymore. It's awful. How am I ever going to get through this? When will it end? It's so hard. I'm just going to honor how I feel. Of course, I would be stressed out. Of course, I would be frustrated. And I'm just going to honor that. I honor how much I've been through. I honor how much I'm going through. This has been hard. This is hard. And I'm just going to breathe into it. Just going to honor it. And take another breath. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to switch to positive word. You can if you feel that. Now, I didn't make you take the temperature and on that SUD scale, 0 to 10, decide how anxious you feel, how angry you feel, how disappointed you feel. Most of the time when we need to tap, we are up there above a 5 usually. We're often at that 7, 8, 9. Sometimes if we're in that true high anxiety, almost at panic, we're at a 10. Some of my clients will say, oh, 10 plus, I'm 11. So just, you don't have to, because you will feel it when you're tapping in the moment. You know how high it is. So as you're tapping, you will feel a shift in your body. Now, it might just be this subtle internal feeling. You can have a tear shed or lots of them. You may yawn. That's a big one. Or a sigh, a heavier breath, a bigger breath. Or you'll feel that if you've had some tension in your body and you've noted it, I feel it in my chest, that will subside. That will get less. When you feel that shift, there is no need to fix the situation. Just honor it. Understand where it's okay. Of course, I'd feel this way, and just let it go. If you want to go further, you can say, I'm open to healing this. I'm open to feeling more calm in my system. Okay, that's it. Again, tap on all the points or just one. So I don't want to go too long today because I know brief is better, but I want to point out that sometimes we need to do this when we're out in public. Now, you can excuse yourself and go to the restroom. I'm going to go powder my nose. No, I'm going to tap. So you can do that, but you can also remember that we have what we call stealth tapping. Now, one place is on the side of the hand, right here where the pinky meets the hand and down where we get to the wrist bone. And it is directly on the side. It's not over here, it's not over here, but it's right there on the side. It's formerly known as the karate chop point. Some people still use that name. We just call it the side of the hand. And it's where you would chop a board or a brick, right? So that's where we just take the other hand and tap there. Now it can become stealth because you can lean in. You might be on Zoom like this and getting triggered by somebody, or maybe you're delivering the message and you need to keep your nerves calm and stay grounded. You just do this where no one can see you. You're leaned in, you are engaged in the conversation. Now, this also works if you are with someone having coffee or lunch, or maybe you're on a date, you're in dinner, but you're leaning and the person across the table or all the people don't know that underneath that table you're doing this. You can rest that in your lap Now, I actually did this in the ICU um, when doctors, nurses were coming to talk to me. I was often seated because I'd been there just hanging out in the room with my husband. And so, in order to really stay focused and get clear and to hear, I would do that tapping. Would keep me from kind of going into, oh God, what's going to happen next? So again, I would tap the side of my hand. I'd lean forward. My hand would rest between my thighs, kind of just rested on my lap right there, tapping away. No worries, nobody can tell. The other way is right here. This is my favorite spot to gravitate to anyway, is to tap right here on the collarbone points, the tip of the collarbone, come down and out. It's about an inch, and you into that indentation and tap one or the other or both. But if you put your hand on your chest over the heart chakra, right at the breastbone, you can have your finger and thumb kind of right there in those 2 points, and you can tap those, you can tap your whole hand or just your fingers, or just rest and kind of rub that point. It's very comforting and brings you down into a more relaxed state. And the idea is with all of this tapping, immediately brings you out of that fight, flight, freeze, fawn stress response where we're staying up in our head and, all of our blood is rushing to the extremities so we can run, we can hide, we can fight, right? So this is important to have that response when we need it, but in our day-to-day life, we have stress all the time and we don't want to stay so amped up. It's very dangerous to our health and our emotional and physical. So just tap right there. I lived in the South for many years, Virginia, then Georgia. And so this is a common thing that you see. Actually, you see it everywhere, but it's quite common there. And I still do that when I hear some heartwarming or heart-wrenching thing. My hand goes directly there. Oh my goodness, right? So it's very, very easy to use that. And the third is tapping on the fingertips, which is great. I love to teach children this one. And they can be in school, walking down a hallway and doing this. Now, some people teach it where they use one hand to tap the other, and we tap the fingertip points this way along the side of the fingertips. But I like to just use one hand, and it's literally is along the side of the thumbnail, tapping with the first pointer finger. And then you use your thumb to tap the sides of the other, I'm trying to get in the camera, tap the sides of the fingernails. And now you can just go back and forth, you can rotate through, but it's just literally thumb and fingers. Some of the graphics and videos I've seen, they don't tap this one for some reason. I do, I just do them all. Why should we skip? There are points all over our bodies and faces, and we choose them to do this. Oh my goodness, somebody's here. Hold on, I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, that was somebody who was mistakenly going to the wrong place. Popped in and popped back out. So I just want to demo that one more time. When you feel something coming up, when you notice there is a thought in your head, and it's starting to spin a little bit, it's starting to repeat, and you're thinking about it, just take a moment, stop and take a breath, and start tapping. However you wish to tap. Fingertips. I sometimes, when I take a walk, just tap my fingertips on my thigh. It's not really the point that we would use, but it does work. It just helps you talk and tap at the same time. I hope that is helpful for you, that you will go and get the freebies if you don't have them. DM me and tell me what you need. I am at Coach Sandy Evenson pretty much on every social media site, trying to figure out where you hang out so I can help you. And just remember that you are seen. You are loved. I see your light. I see your beauty. I see your brilliance. Shine brightly.